Hey guys, Danny Johnson here, and today we're going to change a water pump on a Jeep Liberty 3.7 liter V6. And so this is where it's located on the engine. It's kind of that center pulley, and the water pump itself kind of looks like this. And so we're going to go through a very simple repair, and so we're going to go ahead and get started. So you're going to take a 15mm socket and put it on a long breaker bar, and you're going to put that on the tensioner bolt, and as you push down on it, it will release the tension of the belt, and you're going to want to slide it off at the water pump pulley since it's smooth. Next, we're going to actually take off the tensioner itself, so it's a 13mm bolt. So just remove the bolt from the center, and the whole housing is going to come off as one piece with the two pulleys on it. So just remove that and set it out of the way. This is what it looks like right here. So next we're going to drain the radiator, and so there's a little drain plug on it, and so it's on the bottom corner of the radiator, and this is what it looks like right there, that little white one. So you'll just twist it until it starts draining the coolant. So next we're going to remove all of the water pump bolts. They're 13mm, and you just want to work your way around the water pump and get all of them out. And so just some of them are kind of down low. These two were in the way of that other tensioner, so that's why we removed it. And so just work your way all the way around and take out all the bolts to just the water pump. And you can see how wobbly this water pump was. It definitely had the bearing seize up. Now you may notice these threads on the front of the pulley, and so if you have an electric fan, then you don't need to worry about it, but if you have a regular fan that screws onto the front of the water pump pulley, that's where you're going to remove it. You'll have to put a big wrench on it and loosen the nut until it comes off of the front of the water pump pulley. So the later models, it's an electric fan. You don't have to worry about that. Okay, so once you remove all those bolts, you're going to take the whole water pump off. Sometimes they come off easy, sometimes you have to pound them a little bit. Now, 3 of these bolts are longer than the others, and on install we'll show you exactly where those 3 go. They were towards the top. Now next we want to clean the mating surface. So where the old gasket was, you can see some residue left over here, and we're just going to scrub it all off. You can use a credit card to scrape it, or what we like to use is the back side of a sponge where it has the abrasive side on one side and some brake parts cleaner. And so you just want to get that as smooth as you can. You can see here we got it nice and clean, so it's not going to have any thing left over that's going to cause it to leak. Now here's the new water pump, and it has the gasket already in it. If yours doesn't have that, you're going to have to make one out of gasket maker. And it also came with new hardware. However, some of the hardware was too short. So go ahead and line it up, and just go ahead and start threading them in until they're even. But when it comes down to tightening them, we're going to use a specific sequence. And so you just want to get them all nice and snug. And you'll want to use the extra long ones here, here, and last on the end here. And you'll notice which ones you need because the new hardware they give you will just spin. And so you'll need the long one to make it work. So here's a diagram. It's not even exactly for this exact water pump, but basically you want to go in a crisscross pattern, tightening the bolts down opposite of each other. So just get them nice and snug there. And so the official torque spec on this, basically what you want to do is go in that star pattern, and you want to go the first round at 20 foot-pounds, and then tighten up to 30, and then finally 40 foot-pounds. Okay, next we're going to reinstall the tensioner, so it just goes right back on the same way it came off. There's a little nub on it that you line up, and then it's just that 13mm bolt in the middle. And now we're going to put the belt back on, and so this is the belt diagram. And so once you wind it all the way that it's supposed to be, just put that 15mm back onto the tensioner and push down, and it likes to go over the water pump since that's the smooth pulley. Next we're going to burp the system, so what you want to do is remove the radiator hose here, and sometimes it takes a little twisting to get this off. But once you get it off, then we're going to hold it straight up. It helps to also loosen the clamp on this side at the radiator too, so you can kind of twist the hose and get it to stick vertical. And this is important for burping the system that we'll show you here. So next we're going to take off the reservoir cap over here, and we're going to start filling the system. And what we want to do is make sure we're pouring this directly into the radiator. So we're going to have it fill the radiator completely until it's overflowing. Then you're going to also add some into the expansion tank itself. And so then you're going to take the hose and you're going to reconnect it, and then you're going to unconnect it on this side now, which is at the radiator. And so now by pulling it off on this end, as we lift it up in the air, you should have the radiator full. And then now we're going to fill the actual engine block cylinder heads area by pouring the fluid into this hose. So we just disconnected it on the other end, and now we're just filling it here. Now this is really important. You want to fill this until it basically circulates throughout the entire engine, and you'll know that that's happened by seeing the coolant start to come back out at the radiator. So once you pour this in, and it may take a few bottles, you'll eventually have it start coming out of the radiator, and then that way you know it's completely full. So that's the proper way to burp the system. So once it's running out of the radiator side, you're going to hurry and pop the hose back on. And so now we have the radiators full, and so is the engine block, and also our expansion tank. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and tighten these down and make sure it's on the plastic. Take another look at the expansion tank and make sure it has a full level, and then you're going to go ahead and start it up and let it run. Now keep a real good eye on the temperature gauge. You really want to make sure that you don't have any problems with it overheating at this point. Even you'll want to take it for a drive and get it up to operating temperature, and keep adding coolant to the expansion tank as needed. Okay, and then just look for any leaks around the water pump area. Just make sure everything is on nice and tight, and hopefully that's it. So if you have any questions, put them in the comments. Thanks for watching, and hopefully this helps you get the water pump replaced. Thanks, guys.